All right, let's hop right into this top 18. It's Holy Priest, and we're going to see how we do this, how we time it, how everything goes. I was really hyped when I did this key. So you see we're playing with a Demon Hunter, a Holy Priest, Boomy, Fire Mage, and a Rogue here. All these players are actually exceptionally pretty good. The big important thing about Holy Priest is your throughput is insane. It is a nasty, nasty throughput. And this dungeon does have a lot of healing. You see, I pop Augment Rune. So one thing we should look up on is all of our consumables. We should always make sure we're well fed. Honestly, anything higher than 18 or higher, we should go Augment Rune. We should make sure we have our oils and our flask always up to date. Always check talents. Always make sure everything's going well there as well. And we're going to get into this dungeon here soon. So I'll see you guys when we get there. So you see at the start of the dungeon as a Holy Priest, you want to make sure you have your flask concentration up, and also you want to have 10 stacks of your Paramending. You can honestly go for 20 stacks if you have another melee. Like I should have put another 20 stacks on the Rogue there, but I didn't end up doing that, which is fine. It's not like the biggest HPS loss, but it is beneficial to have, especially on this first pull, because I believe we pull all of this here. So yeah, we're pulling all of it. I restacked it. You see Paramending one on me. I go ahead and get myself Power Word Shield just to run a bit faster. I have a set focus on Pi to Pi the Mage on Combust. I think I've been trying to reset with more of like a Pi on every cooldown, because unless you have Bloodlust, you don't really reach the breaking point on Combust, so you don't get an extra on it. So here you see we didn't trank the first one there. Just catch up on healing. Make sure your tank's topped off first, and then go ahead and try to top off the rest of your people. Your important should go from melee to range. This first boss here, I believe, goes pretty smoothly until the very end. So as you see, we pop Bloodlust. I pop GS to kind of keep this healing up. Also, you see he pops Meta, and GS with Meta is a decent stack if you aren't trying to focus on healing him. The dot applies to me here. Just kind of keep yourself topped up on the healing. Not too big of a deal there. But yeah, so it's going pretty well here. Flash concentration build is pretty simple. It's not a difficult build necessarily. The most difficult part is keeping your flash concentration legendary up to max stacks. Once you have that max stacks, your heal becomes the same cast speed as your flash heal, and also it is more mana efficient than your flash heal. It also has more HP per heal. So you see I'm getting these Surge of Light procs as well. I usually try to hold on to them. I think I popped out there instantly just because of the pressure the tank was taking, and I didn't have Plume or GS there. GS is up in 10 seconds, so I'm not too worried if I end up not being able to make sure this tank's 100% topped, because I can GS him and top him off right away. So GS pops instantly, and then a Serenity pops into it. He did proc the GS there, so it's now on a 3-minute cooldown. Nothing's wrong with that. It saves us Cheat Death. Cheat Death is a by far better cooldown than GS, but it does suck a little bit to have that pop. Next few pulls though aren't too hard to heal, so it's not too bad. You see, I go ahead and get that guy out of stealth as soon as possible, and yeah, the dungeon, this boss fight just goes pretty well. No deaths. It's a pretty decent boss fight. I don't have my healing meters up, but I believe I'm healing probably about 6-7k at this point, just due to the just pure damage this boss does with the 3 phases and 3 people. So one thing that's a little weird is I'm running Divine Star instead of the other one. I will fix that in edit. But I'm running Divine Star here. I've been wanting to test that out to see if I can pump some more damage instead of kind of being stuck on little to no damage. One important thing as any healer, especially Disc, especially Holy, honestly, Holy Paladin will probably have this problem too. You need to eat as soon as possible. It's just that fight just drains your mana. I mean, it's a lot of health to pump into something. And you're down to this fight now. So this fight is also pretty simple. Make sure to try to pop, if you're running Divine Star, make sure to try to pop that every single time you can. Anyways, so Divine Star is efficient when it's 3 enemies and 3 friendlies. Oh, I end up dying there because I got hit by the dot and didn't want to pop Serenity on myself. That is a mistake on my part. So here we go. We went ahead and got the good RNG. We're going to be running through this boss pretty fast and pretty simple. Not too big of an issue here. He starts so one thing on your keys you should be thinking about is how to save as much time as possible. Just starting the RP by walking into that zone saves you probably like 5, 7, 6 seconds, which does add up over time if you can do this every time. We get another good RNG here. Both these bosses are pretty simple. Erupting Roar is just a bit easier for DPS and healer to keep a track of. The bleed can be a little bit painful if you don't do it correctly. So we are making sure the pat doesn't come. Another thing on top is if you have a pat heading your way, you want to make sure you do not get hit by that. It is a complete raid wipe, or not raid wipe, dungeon wipe, and it's just not beneficial. So you see that I'm pying on cooldown. Like I said, I believe that is it's a higher damage per second instead of pying on combust, since you don't reach that breaking point. And if it's Wild Spirits, you always pie on Wild Spirits, but on Combust, you only pie on Combust when it lines up and when it's on like Bloodlust. If you know Bloodlust is coming up, then you're gonna pie. I'm also using the Venthyr. I believe Venthyr currently was the best Covenant to run. I think Night Fae is going to become better and better and better. As time goes on, people are going to notice it's just a better Covenant. So I'm getting innervated here, even though I'm at 100% mana, because I use Flash Concentration, and that's just it's just an easy way to make sure your mana is going to stay up. I mean, it's just such a mana efficient build. You are never going to run out of mana with you will very rarely run out of mana on this build, and that's one thing Holy Priest has over Disc. Like every time you play with a Disc, you're going to have to wait for him to eat, for him to get mana, for this, that. It should be no problem. So this pull is actually pretty interesting. So that captain there guy, he reduces AoE damage by a certain amount on the whole party around him. So if you pull him away, these guys take increased AoE damage and honestly just die almost instantly. You see, it makes it so much easier for a healer like me to stay up and keep these dots from killing someone or keeping them down, especially if we kill them practically instantly. I mean, look at that. That was just so fast. And granted, you are losing some of your pride, but you're not losing enough to where it's going to matter a whole amount. We're not trying to MDI this. We're just trying to time it. We're just trying to make sure that we're doing a pretty clean run. We aren't trying to do any big pulls and time it by So you see we get hit there by both of the bleeds. It happens again. It makes the healer's job extremely difficult, but with Holy Priest, you should be able to catch up pretty fast, pretty quick. You see I'm always, every time everyone's topped off, I'm not wasting time. I'm trying to get a Holy Fire in, a Smite in, a Mind Games in, whatever I can do to help pump this DPS. Because like I said, the one thing that you don't do as a Holy compared to Disc is the damage meters. You are not pumping as much DPS as you would like, as your team would like. I mean, you are just a little bit lacking on that damage. Right now, I'm doing about 1k. I'm doing 99 or 991, and that is probably I would say like 700, 800 less than what a Disc Priest would do. We get the Pride here. I like to run the Pride up, but sometimes pubs is a bit difficult. So you just want to follow your team. Don't get tilted. Keep a good mindset and keep playing the best to your ability with the group that you have. You see I am applying dots here, making sure to keep my damage on this Pride a decent amount. I got another Innervate, which is most druids will Innervate you on Prides, because if you're not being mana efficient, you're going to have mana problems on Pride. It is just Pride at 18s is extremely difficult. I mean, you see that I'm starting to panic here. Not panic, but I'm starting to see the HPS go down, and it's hard to keep up. I do have paramending, so I believe I'm going to pop that. Oh, I don't pop it here. Usually you want to pop paramending on a pride. It is very efficient. It also makes the rest of the pride. So you'd pop it usually at 7 stacks. So this boss, if I recall, went pretty smooth as well. I think we had one point where the banner doesn't die and everyone is just slow, but that's why you run a mobility class on Priest, because Priest is the slowest thing in the game. I mean, it is like worse than wheelchair class. You are just slower than anything in the world. Honestly, my grandma could probably beat me across the street if I was playing Priest. Like, it's super slow. So here you see I'm saving all my damage abilities for here. I'm going to go ahead and Holy Fire, Chastise, Smite, 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 Smite over and over again. And I'm not pumping a whole lot of damage, but any little amount helps. That banner has to die, because if you get hit by one of these boss mechanics in this dungeon at 18, you just lose. So you'll see I'll try to get paramending up, my renew up on one person at least, and just kind of have that HOTS running while we're running around. Because Holy, also weak side of Holy, is your instacast. You have 3-4 instacasts, I guess you could say. You have paramending, which heals 1,000 on initial. You have Serenity, which heals 10,000 on initial. And then you have your Renew, which heals, and then your Circle of Prayer, and that heals about 1,000 on initial across 4 players. So your instacasts are very low, so applying these dots when you're running around, if you don't have any other instacasts up, can be extremely helpful. Now this is the one I think doesn't die instantly. I just don't have anything else to help, and I have to also keep this tank up. One thing about my gameplay is I'm not keeping my concentration up. It's something that you need. Like, if you're going to play Holy Priest, you need to really focus on this. I used to be a lot worse than what I'm showing now, but yeah, your concentration needs to be up. It is the bread and butter of this class. It is the one thing that makes Holy Priest viable. It's the one thing that people are gonna. The reason people are gonna be switching to Holy Priest is because of this fast concentration legendary. It is insanely good, and not many people use it. So I believe we just try to finish this boss here. I'm not trying to top anyone up. Just trying to get this boss killed. Once we get this boss killed, I'll start applying HOTS on everyone, and we'll go. So this pull is pretty simple as well. Nothing too taxing on Holy, just kind of keeping people up. Every time someone jumps, you just kind of want to top them real quick and make sure you dispel those diseases when you have the chance. I try to dispel it too usually, because if you don't dispel it too, then you'll keep one running for a quite longer time than the other. Popping Divine Star. Everything's going really well. I mean, the one death from my mistake of not popping Serenity on myself for Desperate Prayer was the biggest mistake we've had so far, and we're already going through a second pull of a second part of the dungeon. So it's pretty good so far. You see, as soon as my Dispel comes up, I'm going to go ahead and try to get the Dispel off, and he should be dispelled soon. I don't know why I'm not doing it. Wow, big misplay. Here's a pretty basic pull. This is very healer intensive if we don't have kicks, so we'll see how this one goes, and we'll get it going. So everyone's kicking extremely well. This is something you should always tell your groups, is like, especially if a boomy or something, just use a beam of light, or like use DB, use stuff to make sure these chains don't go off. It is extremely intensive on healer to try to heal that, and they will end up being 0 mana by the end of that fight if you don't do that. And then you just waste 45 seconds having a healer drink, or even more if someone dies. I mean, it's very bad. That's just really hard to do there. Mage is insane in Icebox. This saves me so much HP. dodge this Quaking. Now this is very difficult. Now look at my mana, okay? I've been getting innervates pretty consistently on prides. So I've been thinking, okay, I'm going to be fine mana-wise. Pop Divine Hymn on this. Make sure Soul Snow doesn't just completely destroy us. The Alter Time was good. Everything runs pretty well here. Everything runs pretty smooth. A Holy Lock on Quaking because I was trying to greed a heal proc. We're going to get an Innervate on this Pride, and we're going to just wipe this Pride easy. It's going to be a clean run from here. This mage is playing extremely well, using altars and everything just really consistently and really well. So one thing about Quaking, if people are having problems with it, I like to move right when Quaking happens because it does not allow you to cast, right? So if you move as soon as that happens, even if you're trying to greed a cast or whatever, you will always dodge it. Here, you do not have to top anyone up. They'll heal instantly when they go, so don't worry about it. Just let your mana regen, hop in that portal, heal up. Here, it's not healer intensive at all, just push damage. So Mage Pods here. He's playing extremely well, and partially of it was my fault because I was pumping in a bit more damage than I probably should have focused on healing a bit more. But really, healing is the biggest thing. Here, you can shackle if your team wants you to, and just pull a singular shard. Yep, so you're just going to pull this as shackled and then blinded, and then we do get a cast off, which I believe makes it really hard. I think I die here. Yeah, just insta die. If you do not keep that CC'd, you just all the damage coming out, if it goes on one person, you just insta die. This Hive Key, you just insta die. There's no way you're going to live that. I decide not to release here due to the B-res we have, and the speed at which you return back here is just really slow. So on single target pulls, for the most part, you are allowed to do as much damage as you want. You are allowed to just pump. That's one kind of good thing about Holy as well, is that like your spells, like your smite just does more damage than a disc. You're like, you have pains, you have stuff like that you can apply all the time. They're just really good. Stop that cast once, and we're going to go ahead and get another cast out of here, but it's okay. Don't have to worry about really kicking them anymore. People are going to kick them for me. Didn't dodge mechanic because I needed bind kick, but... So one thing that you are not seeing in my gameplay that you should see in yours is you should be tracking cooldowns. You should be tracking metas, you should be tracking guardian tanks, you should be tracking ice blocks, alter times, you should be tracking... Now this fight's really difficult due to the dispels. You just don't simply have enough dispels to dispel everything. I mean, it's that simple. You don't have that much. So you have to pump heals. You have to get these guys topped up so these little dots don't tick them down to 0 HP over time. I ended up getting Holy Lock on a Pride, which makes me lose my Flash Concentration buff. But I believe I'm going to get this up to a couple, and then I'm going to Prayer Mending. Yep. Prayer Mending right on time. This just keeps everyone tops up. Also, it gives you the 10% healing bonus. Makes it easier for you to heal this Pride throughout time. Your Trails of Light makes it easier. The Trails of Light talent, which I'll show on the screen, it duplicates some of the healing from your heal or flash shield on the previous target that you healed with a flat heal or flash shield. So it makes these prides a bit easier, that knowing that you can heal like 20% of what you're healing on one person to another person. Now this rogue is very extremely low, so I'm going to go ahead and just pop GS on him, and we'll just make sure he's topped off. GS is a 1 minute cooldown if the cooldown expires, so it's very efficient and very easy to use, very well kept if you use it. We're going ahead and bloodlusting, and I should go ahead and pie. Yep, pieing is right away. I try to get this off the boomy since mage has block and alter time, so you tend not to have to do that. So I dispel myself here because it's on tank. Tank is not going to feel this dot. Tank's literally just getting tickled by this dot due to his cooldowns and the way that spec is built. You aren't, like, it's not going to be a problem for him. I always start precasting on those explosions on that. Try to keep my dots up to 100%. I get a holy fire on it. Now in high pressure situations, when he gets on, like let's say the mage and the rogue here, let's say it just pops right away, you can mass dispel that once probably this fight. Sometimes you can mass dispel twice. It will save some HPS. It depends if it's tyrannical or not. So here it's going to go on me and the mage. Mage does not have anything really. I believe he ice blocks and then he has nothing, right? So we're going to go ahead and top him off. Always make sure you're alive though with that dot. Like if it's you and the DPS, make sure you're alive because you're the one who's going to be able to keep them up and keep healing others while you're healing them. If you're just worried about yourself, you're mental blocked. You have a problem where you like most people will be mental blocked and have an issue just making sure they stay alive, and they forget the whole party's there except for themselves. So this boss goes down pretty smooth, pretty clean. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with this party. This party right here is really good. A little short tip you can do is you can just jump over and save like half a second at a time. It's a fun little thing. So you see we pop insta GS on the tank here due to the short cooldowns. It makes it where the healing of this fight right here is very easy. You don't have to worry about your tank as much. You can do some extra damage. You can do a couple little things just because that GS proc. I mean, a minute cooldown is insane for that ability. You're increasing healing by 40%, and a DH can self-heal. Like, you're increasing their self-healing by 40%. So we go ahead and Shroud here. In pubs, if you have a row, you can Shroud. If you don't, you can just wait for the pat. GS is almost back up after popping it on that previous pool. And you'll see I wait and hold it, I believe. So there are certain pools where GS will be better because you're allowed to do more damage and you're allowed to heal other people. But in this pool, you are really focused on healing. I mean, you do not have time to worry about doing other stuff than healing. This is a very difficult pool, and the next one can be even more difficult. This is what makes this pool difficult because you're dealing with a constant dot from decaying. You're also dealing with big damage from these little guys, and you're dealing huge damage from the big guy. So your main job is to keep people alive. I don't care if they're topped. I don't care if anything. Your main job is just to make sure they are alive, and you're alive. Okay, you dodge these mechanics. Simple as that. Weird camera angle. I'm sorry. I didn't think about when I was going to record this. But yeah, see, I'm not topping these guys off. I mean, I'm just making sure people are alive. You see, I grab a drink here because I know we're going to have Pride, and this pool can be a little bit less intensive with kicks and tanks CDRs. So I go ahead and drink up to about 70%. It doesn't stop our pool at timers or anything. The most it stops is a little bit of my bar, the numbers. Look at the numbers. Like, the numbers are going to go down because I drank, but oh well. Like, it's going to time the key, so it's worth it. So you see, I'm only putting about 1,000 DPS still overall on this damage. Like, it is... I'm not saying you do 0 damage as a Holy Priest, but you do significantly less than a Disc Priest, than a H Paladin, than a couple other of the classes out there. And the reason you do less is because you have higher throughput. You can heal these prides, you can heal these big pools, you can keep people alive more often, you can do more things because your HPS is just higher. So you allow your DPS to do more damage because they're not worried about defensives, they're not panicking as much. These are things that you actually have to think about in pubs. I mean, I should pie here. Yep, go ahead and pie on the combust. Boss is pretty simple. Kind of stay melee range so you don't get pulled in and dodge these things. I get Holy Lock because I try to greed my flash cast, but not the biggest deal. It is something that you shouldn't be doing. I'm not saying I'm the perfect Holy Priest player. I'm not saying I'm the perfect WoW player ever. I do make mistakes, and just like everyone else in your pub, people make mistakes, man. What you got to do is you have to keep a good mindset over it. See, I try to greed another cast. It's just not thinking. But keep your good mindset. Make sure that you're not tilting. Make sure that you are focused. Make sure that you're not worrying about these mistakes except for the ones that you can help and fix. Like your healer job, you can fix some of these mistakes. You can heal enough to make sure people don't die because of one mistake they made. Like that is a big part of healing, is that you are there for the consistent damage, but also for that crazy rare damage where people take damage. And you can fix those. Like there's times where you can leap of faith people to save people because they made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake in a video game. Everyone does, even the pros. Okay, you can go watch MDI right now, and people are going to make mistakes, and they're going to die, and that is just completely normal. But what's different about the pros is they tend not to get angry, and they tend not to get so upset where they just throw the whole key about it. They know that they just want to time it, they want to get this done, and that's what they got to do. So, TLDR, just keep a good mindset, man. Don't let it stress you out. Make sure just to keep it cool, play some nice music, and keep going. So this boss is about dead here. I popped GS because I'm about to lose my stack there. This just allows the tank to heal himself so I can heal other people because damage starts coming out pretty crazy towards the end here. You see we're still popping Divine Star. We're still trying to keep our dots up. We're still trying to mind games. The good thing about mind games is, it also, like, if you pop GS and then mind games, that mind game ceiling is increased by 40%. Like, it's, I should get hit here. Yeah. So that was just a really weird mechanic. I didn't understand it at all. It does not look like I'm playing well, but I promise you I am. I keep everyone back up. It was a mistake on my part, but I don't tilt. I keep a steady mind and I say, okay, that's fine. We can catch up. We can still catch up on the ceiling here. Not a big deal. So we have 6 minutes for the last boss. Pretty simple. Everything goes well. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just show the last boss fight, and that'll be the end of the video. I just wanted to test this, see if this works. I go ahead and slow fall. That kills a couple little seconds of time, but yeah, anyway, I'd love to see what you guys had to say. If you guys want to leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. Any Holy Priest players out there want to share it with the other Holy Priests. I hope I can share some knowledge and some stuff going on in the Holy Priest, because I think it's a really good class and people aren't just giving it enough tries. So anyway, this last boss fight, pretty plain and simple. We keep it. We lust at 50%. We pie at 50%, or we pie right away because we get it at 50%. And yeah, it's a wrap. I mean, this key was timed. Pop GS there. Scared he was going to die because I didn't have Serenity. But that's because I wasn't watching his cooldowns on his defensives. Another thing to take from this video. Just keep your track cooldowns, man. I mean, there's whole add-ons for that. You don't have to keep it in your head like a calculator. There's whole add-ons. That's something I've done recently, and it has increased my gameplay by a significant amount. So you see, I'm still applying dots. I'm still trying to get a smite here and there, and like I said, just keep your damage when you can up. I'm teasing the laser, but I'm feeling cocky at this point, to be honest with you guys. This is a really clean run from all of the people in this except for me. Like, I'm the person who's died 3 times. These guys have died 0 times. Like, really clean. I pop all my defenses here just to keep myself alive. We get a lust going. We should have lust and pie and combust at the same time. Here we go. Pop another GS. See, GS is up again on this boss fight because I popped it right away at the beginning. And we're going to have pie. We should pop pie almost instantly. I think I die here. Yep. I die here, but it's not the biggest deal. The dungeon is over. I was stuck in a really bad position there. But 5 deaths and 4 of them being me, this group was insane. And you can say, well, that's why you timed the key. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Can't tell you. But what I do know is I kept a good mindset. I made sure not to panic. I healed well. And yeah, I mean, that's the biggest part. It's just all that stuff combined will help you time these keys. Consumables were up. You know, all these things help you time a key. Even a good group times a key. So anyways, like I said, guys, some of the big things to pull from this: make sure you have your consumables, make sure you're using your cooldowns, make sure that you're not panicking, keep a level head, and yeah, like, have a good time doing your dungeons. Because if you always are stressed and having a bad time, then you aren't going to do your dungeons. You aren't going to time them. It's just that simple. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video.